Hello, my name is Ryan Phillips and I am the founder of Carry Pinellas. The purpose of this short video clip is to explain what motivated me to create this organization and what I expect to accomplish with this organization locally here in Pinellas County. Now let me begin by dispelling the myth that it is completely and totally 100% prohibited by law to openly carry a firearm in the state of Florida. Now, while it is generally prohibited by law in the state of Florida to openly carry a firearm, Florida State Statute 790.25 does provide some exceptions under certain circumstances. Now, before I read 790.25 in its entirety, I would like to explain the two state statutes in which 790.25 omits, allowing you to legally openly carry a firearm under certain circumstances. The first state statute in which 790.25 omits is State Statute 790.053, which otherwise prohibits general open carry. This particular statute does provide exceptions for law enforcement and federal agents. However, it does not allow the average citizen of Florida to openly carry a firearm. So that's the first statute in which 790.25 omits. The second state statute in which 790.25 omits is State Statute 790.06, which requires the individual attain to the age of 21 years old in order to obtain a concealed carry permit. So these are the two statutes in which 790.25 omits, allowing you to legally openly carry a firearm under certain circumstances. Now the 790.053, just to recap, is what prohibits general open carry, and the second one, which you will hear referenced during the reciting of this statute, is 790.06, which requires you attain to the age of 21 in order to obtain a concealed carry permit. So now let me go ahead and recite it in its entirety. 790.25, it says, it's titled Lawful Uses, and it says, the provisions of State Statute 790.053, the open carry statute, and 790.06, the concealed carry statute, do not apply in the following instances, and despite such sections, it is lawful for the following persons to own, possess, and lawfully use firearms and other weapons, ammunition, and supplies for lawful purposes. And then it goes on to list a series of lawful purposes, which would allow you to openly carry a firearm. And we'll go down to Section H, which states, a person engaged in fishing, camping, or lawful hunting, or going to or returning from a fishing, camping, or lawful hunting expedition. So it is legal in the state of Florida to openly carry a firearm if you are engaged in such activities as hunting, camping, or fishing, or you are going to or returning from such events. Now, as far as what I would like to accomplish with this organization, I would really like to see, not at the moment, I know it'll take time, but I would really like to see Florida adopt a similar open carry law that Kentucky has. Kentucky and Florida are both shall issue states for concealed carry. However, the main difference between the two states is Kentucky allows any citizen who has not been convicted of a felony and who has not been found to be of unsound mind carry a firearm in the open without any permit. And a lot of people will ask me, well, what is your issue with obtaining a permit beforehand? And I have several reasons why I do not consent to acquiring a permit beforehand. One reason is you're turning what was once an unalienable right into a privilege. A privilege, by definition, is a temporary authority granted to you by someone else of a higher authority. Now, I don't want to get into the constitutionality of this, but I will very briefly. I'm just going to touch on it. We the people wrote the Constitution, and we grant the government certain privileges granted to them by us. Some proof of this can be found in Article 1, Section 1, Clause 1 of the Constitution, which states, "All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States." So we grant them privileges. We have the unalienable rights, they have the privileges. They better ask us. It's not the other way around. And somehow we've lost sight of that as a society. You're turning a right into a privilege, essentially. And that's one reason I do not agree with obtaining a permit beforehand. I would like to see Florida adopt a similar bill as the state of Vermont, where you can openly carry, you can conceal carry with no permit. All they ask, the only caveat is that you are not a felon and you are not of unsound mind. Because, frankly, criminals are not going to abide by these laws anyway. They are enacted simply to put you under their thumb. Frankly, I will say it. Because there is no other purpose. Because obviously the criminal is not going to go through the tedious process of obtaining a permit in order to conceal. They're going to strap it inside their waistband, and that's it. So, now one more reason I do not agree to applying for a permit and obtaining a permit beforehand. You look at states such as California and New York, who are may-issue states. Now, up until a few years ago, they would allow you, anybody who was a qualifying applicant, anybody who met specific qualifications. You're not a felon, you're not of unsound mind, you've passed your background check. They would grant you the permit. No problem. Just send us the money, we'll give you the permit, it's in the mail, it's on its way. Now, a may-issue state, as I understand, you send your application to the local sheriff or chief of police, and they decide whether or not they may grant you the permit. Now, the state of California, recently, as I understand, they have not been renewing permits. They have not been accepting applications. You have to really live in an area where your particular sheriff or chief of police happens to support the Second Amendment, or you're not getting it. The only way you're going to carry is if you illegally carry by means of a statute. Now, that's the problem. They can decide, well, we've decided for the safety of the community. Remember, when they're taking your individual rights away, they always use the phrases such as community rights and collective rights. Because we want to create a safer society for the community, we have decided that we are not going to grant our citizenry who wish to defend their family and those around them a permit. So I'm sorry, but if you want to have a permit or you want to carry, move to another state. So those are two main factors why I vehemently disapprove of concealed carry permits, or any permit for that matter. You're turning a right into a privilege. Now, if you were at the park one day reading your Bible and a police officer approached you and demanded you display the government-issued form which allows you to exercise the religion of your choice, wouldn't you emphatically explain to him that you have a right to free religion and do not require government permission to do so? Well, somewhere we've lost sight of the fact that the Second Amendment isn't any different than the First Amendment. They're all individual rights. They all utilize the phrases, the right of the people. So, for them to say it's a collective right, the only type of rights that exists are individual rights. Think about it for a moment. Now, you start out as an individual and you come together as a community or a collective group. If you have 2 rooms, in room A you have one individual. And in room B, you have 10 individuals who have formed a collective group. Now, obviously, the individual in room A is outnumbered by the individuals in room B. But does that mean he does not have the same amount of rights as the individuals in room B? They have the same amount of rights. It doesn't matter if you're one person or you're 15 or 50. You have the same amount of rights because you have individual rights. They're an inherent characteristic of the human condition. So what I'm trying to accomplish with this organization, I would like to begin educating the community because a lot of people do not even understand the statute exists. I understand we may occasionally encounter the citizen who calls the police because they're not very sure why 7 or 8 individuals fishing or camping or hunting happen to be packing heat. Now, we can change that one individual at a time. Now, what I would like to begin doing is setting an event on a particular day where friends, family, friends of family, friends of friends may come together and fish legally and just have a good time, and you just happen to be carrying. It's no different. I would like to see the community become accustomed to seeing the display of a firearm, because the way the mainstream media portrays gun owners is just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's unacceptable. So what we need to do is portray ourselves in a manner that is unintimidating to the public, and we need to educate them along the way. So this is what I hope to do with this organization. And as the number of citizens who understand we mean no harm, as that number increases over time, over a period of, let's say, 3 years, for example, the number of instances of persons lawfully, openly carrying in the state of Florida will increase exponentially. So if you would like to get involved with this organization, I recommend you like this page and just stay updated, keep your ear to the site, and I will continue to post these video blogs, probably with the regulations or the rules of these events, and I will frequently update the page, and I will keep everybody informed who is subscribed to the page, who has liked the page. So I hope I have maybe made you think a little. Maybe I've drawn you away from your comfort level a little. But this is what we need to do, because rights are similar to muscle, in that if you do not use them, in the case of muscle, or you do not exercise them in the case of rights, you will lose them. We need to begin educating. We need to get a consensus. We need to change the overall way the average citizen portrays gun owners, because we all know, as gun owners, we are the most peaceful people you'd ever want to come in contact with. We just want the government to respect our rights, because they were not given to us by the Constitution. They were not given to us by the government. We were endowed by our Creator with unalienable rights. These rights are unalienable, and they are incapable of being repudiated by any government entity, period, regardless of what precedents they may claim. So I hope I've sparked your interest, and I certainly hope you like the page, and please stay in touch, and I will continue to post these video blogs. Thank you, and have a great night.